Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that's going to help you become your best self. And today we are talking about doing the work, tips for healing emotionally and becoming stronger. But before we jump into that episode, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, and I would love to chat with you in the DMs and answer any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topic suggestions, or anything that you would just love to chat about. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can also send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. And you're welcome to check out my website, which is sabrinajoy.com. You can go to the Contact Me There section and send me a message that way if you prefer. I also have a newsletter that you can sign up for, which the second issue will be coming out in about 6 days, so on Friday, if you're listening on the date that this is released. So that's exciting. And then also, if you look in the show notes, you will also see a link to download your free copy of 50 Questions to Become More Self-Aware. And it's just a nice, cool, free gift from me to you to spend some time journaling and understanding yourself better and becoming more self-aware. So check all of that out in the show notes, but let's go ahead and jump into today's episode, which again is doing the work, tips for healing emotionally and becoming stronger. Emotional healing is a ton of work. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with me. If you do, please immediately email me and send me your tips on how you've made it super duper easy. But I would just say in general, it's a ton of work, right? It's exhausting, overwhelming, and sometimes painful because you bring up old wounds and have to face people and situations that have hurt you before, and you fear now. Like, you still are like, oh, I don't even want to deal with that mess, right? It's a lot of work, but it's so worth going through. And I definitely just as always, want to be real with you, because even though what I talk about is a lot of emotional healing and emotional work, I'm definitely not going to try to convince you that it's easy, or that it is like the least amount of work that you'll ever do. That is absolutely not true. Absolutely not. That is like the opposite of everything, because it's just so deep in us. There are so many things that just need to be done when we are involving ourselves in emotional healing. So I am definitely not here to pretend that it's easy. It takes a lot of work, but it is worth it. It's totally worth going through. And of course, it doesn't feel fun or worth it while it's happening. Absolutely not. No. Which is why you have to have hope for what your future is going to look like once you slog through all of that, right? You have to see that light at the end of the tunnel and understand, okay, I am working towards something that's going to be amazing. I know that life is going to be genuinely better if I do this work. And it doesn't usually take long to see some growth and relief and even burden release if you have things that you feel like are sitting heavy on your shoulders and just burdening you. But yeah, it doesn't take long if you commit to doing the work and you actually commit. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have ups and downs and where you're fully committed and then you kind of fall off a little bit, but then you come back. That is normal. That is normal. No one's expecting you to do this emotional healing and work perfectly. No one's expecting you to do it 100% all the time. If anyone is, they're out of their mind and they're not being rational, for reals. It takes a lot. It drains you. It takes a lot from you. You are giving a lot and it's taking a lot. And there are going to be probably some setbacks. There are going to be some bumps in the road. But as long as you don't give up, as long as you get back at it, it's absolutely amazing. Doing this work, it also takes perseverance and determination that you want. You genuinely want your life to change for the better, and you're willing to put in the effort to do so. You're willing. You want to. This is for reals. It's not just a fantasy or a dream. You really want to do this. And a lot of times we want things to change, but we don't want to do the work, right? Let's just be honest. We want things to change. You can make a list of all of these wonderful things I think that sometimes people think that that's what manifestation is. Like you just make a list of what you want and then you're like, here you go. This is my order. Please fulfill. 2-day shipping, please. But it's not, you can want things, but you have to put some work behind it. You got to do it. You got to actually involve yourself, get your hands dirty a little bit, right? We just want the change to happen without having to feel uncomfortable. That is very common for emotional healing and emotional work because no one wants to feel uncomfortable. No one wants to have to face old trauma, old crap that just sucked in the moment. And you're like, I'm just over that. I totally get it. And it would be nice if it were that way, if it did work that way, where you're just like, okay, this is what I want. Please send this to me. Please make this change. I will wait. I would pay so much money for that, but that's not a real thing, right? You have to do the work. And again, it's so worth it. But not only do we need to make the decision to change, we need to put action behind those decisions. That is where doing the work comes in. We have to do the work. And a lot of times emotional healing isn't necessarily like physical labor, although I personally will say that it kind of feels like that sometimes when my heart's racing and I feel like a fresh wave of anxiety and like new feelings of depression and anything, like all of these different emotions go into hyperdrive because I am dealing with things that I kind of like cast to the side and was like, we'll deal with that laters. But really, no, you gotta. So it's just, you'll deal with it later. And then you come back and you realize, crap, I should have just dealt with this like when I should have dealt with it. But sometimes we need time. Sometimes we need a little time out. I will tell you, the longer you put something off, the bigger that mountain of that emotion and that trauma and whatever it is, that issue, it's bigger. It just continues to grow. It's like interest. It's like, oh, okay, we want to put that off. That's totally fine. We're just going to start charging interest until you deal with it, and it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. But so that's why we got to do the work. We got to do the work so we can figure these things out. So having those big emotional healing issues isn't just another burden on top of the things we're actually dealing with, right? So doing the work is this phrase that I feel is easily thrown around with people within like the wellness world, people that are in personal development, even counseling, therapy, all of these things, right? They're like, you got to do the work. We're doing the work. And despite, how important I think doing the work is, as I've already established, it is uber important, and it will change your life for the better. I think this phrase is a little ambiguous on what that even means, right? Like if you were to walk up to someone and you're like, yeah, I'm doing the work. And they're going to be like, what the heck are you talking about? What work are you doing? And so I feel like that's not just, you can't just be like, I'm doing the work. And then it's like totally explanatory. No, like it sounds good to say, but it doesn't really say much or what needs to happen. So if you are getting advice from someone, so maybe it's like a coach like me, or it's like a therapist, a counselor, a mentor, whomever, and they're like, you just need to do the work. Like that's what you need to do when you're like telling them things that you're going through, things that you're struggling with, and what you would like to change. They're like, okay, well, just do the work. Like, I feel like a lot of us would be like, and what work is that? Like, break it down for me, please. Give me the deets. And that's what I want to do today. Like, I want to help you because I feel like this phrase is thrown around. I even recently saw it, like, just like a post that someone put up. And I'm just like, okay, but can you like talk about it a little bit more? Like, don't just be like, you do the work. People are like, okay, that sounds great, but directions, please, and details. So basically, doing the work means you are putting in the time and effort to do self-healing and improve who you are, right? And a lot of the self-healing, we can do a lot of self-healing on our own. Like, yes, it is, I will never not recommend people to see like a counselor or a therapist, because it's amazing and so helpful for someone else to speak into your life based upon what you tell them and from a new perspective, and help you like organize your thoughts and figure out what the heck is happening in your life. But a lot of work that we can do for our emotional health, we can do on our own. We can definitely do self-healing. I would say that it's funny that I'm saying that as like a coach, as someone that's developing a program to help women gain more emotional resilience, where I'm like genuinely here, like, yeah, here, like, join my program so that I can help you do this thing. I will be honest with you, there is, a lot of things that you can do for your own self-healing, you can do on your own. Yes, it's so much helpful when you have someone guiding you along, especially when you're doing it for like the first few times. Totally fine. But I'm not going to just like lie to you and be like, oh no, you can't do it on your own. No, you can. You can. And I think it's important for you to know that if you would rather try it that way first, rather than like, getting support. Again, I think it's so helpful to have someone in your life that can help guide you through these things. So again, like a mentor, a counselor, a therapist, a coach, whomever. But self-healing is amazing. And, you are making an effort to understand yourself better when you're doing the work, like, which is self-awareness at its best, right? We love self-awareness here. I talk about it all of the freaking time. But yeah, you make a better effort to understand yourself and make changes that will help you heal and become your best self, which that's all I talk about, right? Becoming your best self, because your best self is going to continually evolve over time, always changing, always growing, always moving, which is good. And, but yeah, doing the work will help you heal and continue on that journey as well. So that brings me to what I want to talk about today, which is tips for how to do the work and heal emotionally. And I have 5 for you that I will go through with you, detailed in a fashion, and so that you can start doing the work and start on your own self-healing journey if you aren't already. But if you are, these could just be tips that are like on top of whatever you're already doing. And always remember that if you have more detailed questions on everything I'm talking about, I would totally encourage you to just like hit me up on Instagram or send me an email. I would love, love, love to help you and maybe point you in the direction of some more resources if you need them. So let's jump right in. Number 1, examining your beliefs and values. Your values are the fundamental beliefs that you have. And these principles will determine like your behavior and help you decide the difference between what you feel is wrong and right. And so when you determine if your values and beliefs, like when you take the time to actually examine them, you can determine if they need to change or not. And, it's important for us to understand like if they need to shift or not, because these values and beliefs are super important in guiding you to make the best decisions for yourself. Because again, these are your fundamental beliefs, your principles, like what you base your life on, like who you are. And so these things will help you like make the decisions for your life, and also decide like help you decide what actions to take in your life, and to focus on like what's most important to you and what you need to go after and what goals you need to create, and like who you are and who you're going to be. And I think it's so important for you to examine your beliefs and values because they are like this foundation of who you are. But also I want you to remember that it's okay to change those things. Sometimes we will grow up in a family that has instilled these values and beliefs in us, and then we grow up to become adults and realize that those things do not align with who we want to be and who we have become, right? And it's okay to change. And I think that sometimes our beliefs and our values will change over time. They'll just continue to evolve depending on what season we're in. I mean, they are like this, this base that we live off of, but sometimes our beliefs can change depending upon the knowledge that we are taking in, and how we decide to see something differently. So I don't want you to be afraid and be like, no, my parents taught me that I have to believe in this, that, and the other. And if that doesn't align with you, then that's okay. You can really take the time to investigate and teach yourself well, what are all the options out there, and figure out what aligns with you most. You know what I mean? So it's really important to examine those things, because those can really help you to be more aligned with who you actually really are. Because again, if you were forced to abide by certain values and beliefs when you were a child and that no longer is your thing, you're like, no, I need to change. I don't agree with this. This isn't me, and I'm going to do something differently. I'm going to do what I feel is best. So that's why I wanted to start off with examining your beliefs and values, because it's something that you can easily do. Just be like, I know it could be uncomfortable, because if you've latched on to living a certain way for a long time, even if you find it uncomfortable or not what you want, it can be hard to change, right? Because it's a habit. It's all you've known. But it's scary to change, but I also feel like it's exciting because it's something new. And especially if it feels like it fits you better, you know, then it feels good and it feels right. And it feels like, okay, this is the way I want to go now. And this is who I'm going to be. And that's great. So again, the bottom line of this is to remember it's okay to change. It's okay to change your mind, not just in your beliefs and values, but anytime that you have made a decision and you get new information and you're like, oh, wait, no, okay, I'm going to change my mind. I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to make a decision and have an opinion or a stance on something, and then they're not allowed to change their mind. But you absolutely are allowed to change your mind. And I encourage you to be open-minded enough to consider whether you need to or not. Okay, number 2, deal with unhealed trauma and pain. I personally have a lot of unhealed trauma and pain, but I've been going through it super slowly in therapy. But sometimes I will think of things that have happened to me outside of therapy, and I will really consider okay, how is this affecting me now? And how can I not let it affect me any longer, because it's kind of getting in the way of me wanting to do certain things or really tap into the most of my courage and confidence to be who I truly am. But I would say that if you were going to start, dealing with the unhealed trauma and pain that you had, and I'm not saying it has to be from childhood, like for me, it can literally be from maybe only a few years ago, right? And you're like, oh, I just finally need to deal with this stuff, right? You just kind of set it on the shelf for a while because it's hard. When you finally get past it, you're like, I just want to move on, but you got to face it at some point, so it's not continuing to try to drag you down. So dealing with unhealed trauma and pain, it's number one, it's important to be aware of your triggers, because a lot of times when we go through this, it doesn't necessarily mean that when you deal with it, it's going to be gone forever. I want you to know that. No, it could definitely still linger, but not as much, and not have such a vice grip on your life. So that's why it's important to be aware of your triggers. So if you know what will trigger you to fall into this emotional state where it's affecting you greatly, you can find ways to have a healthy coping mechanism, or how to just get through that situation or being with that person that might bring up those old feelings and memories. So it's important to be aware of your triggers. Also, when you are dealing with unhealed trauma, don't keep minimizing what happened to you or blaming yourself. A lot of times when we go through these types of things, we're just blaming ourselves and being like, oh, it was my fault because of this, that, and the other, or other people are blaming us despite the fact that it wasn't our fault. It just happened. Or you will continue to minimize what happened to you as if no, it's a small thing, or it doesn't matter, or it's no big deal, or you're fine, because you're trying to make other people feel good, right? Because other people are bothered by the fact that you went through this, or that it maybe causes you to feel a certain way, and so you're trying to do it to make them feel at ease when you're not. And so I don't want you to minimize things, or people will minimize it and be like, they'll minimize it for you and be like, oh, that wasn't that big of a deal because I know people that have gone through this, that, and the other. Or they'll even compare their own pain and trauma to yours and try to minimize your pain for you. And I want you to know that you don't need to do that. You don't need to minimize it. Even if what you have gone through is like not as bad as whomever else, it doesn't matter. It's still your trauma and pain. And that is their trauma and pain. And everyone has a different level, a different story, a different experience. Even if everyone went through like the same exact trauma, like, maybe like, let's say we're all on the Titanic and we're sinking, right? And everyone's trying to figure out what to do. And that's a traumatic event, but everyone's experience is going to be different, right? What they take away from that is going to be different. And so you don't need to allow people to minimize it, and you don't need to minimize what happened to you. It happened, and it probably sucked, and it's not great. And that's what you need to know. It matters to you. It matters to you, and that's important. That is really, really important. You also need to take back control, because a lot of times these traumas and pains and these experiences that we go through, we let these things hold us captive and dictate what our future is going to be, because it continues to eat away at us and tell us things that aren't true about ourselves, by how terrible we are and how we'll never amount to anything, and how we should feel bad and responsible for what happened, and this, that, and the other, and whatever else these things like have a hold on you for what you feel like you can't do. You need to take back control and understand that, okay, that thing did happen, and you can take control by dealing it, seeing it face to face, and being like, okay, this happened to me. It really sucked. This is how I feel about it. This is how it's affected my life so far. I do not want it to affect my life any longer. What has happened is in the past. It doesn't have to continue to come with me as emotional baggage for the future. I know it's going to still linger there maybe a little bit, but I don't have to let it control my entire life. Even though these events happened and it feels like I can't go on and do this, I'm going to go on and do this. And I'm going to be courageous, and I'm going to have the confidence that I have been able to conquer this monster of this trauma and move forward and take back my future, take back my life. Because those things happened, but better things can still come. You know what I mean? So you have to just face your trauma head on and be like, I'm not going to let it continue to drag me down. I'm going to release it from me and move forward and take any learning lessons I could from that experience and believe that I can evolve into an even better person despite that experience. So deal with unhealed trauma and pain. Don't continue to leave it sitting on the shelf, eating away at you, pestering you and trying to intimidate you, because you can be free from it as much as possible to live the life that you were meant to live. Number 3, start setting and enforcing personal boundaries. Personal boundaries are like the best thing ever. I struggle myself to enforce them in certain situations. I'm getting better, though. I can definitely say with certainty I am getting better. And it's important that we all are setting and enforcing personal boundaries in our lives. Boundaries are all about knowing your limits. You have to know your limits. I know some people, your ego will tell you that you don't have any limits, but you do. We all do. And you'll know that you've hit your limit when you start to crumble. You start to break down. You start to lose control of how you are feeling and what you want to do, and keeping yourself managed together. What we would sometimes call sane, and that's when you know that you're hitting your limits, when you just feel like it's just too much. You don't want to do it. It doesn't feel good. You want to turn the car around. So it's important to know your limits. And when you know your limits, you create boundaries by letting people in your life know what you will and won't be a part of, what you will and won't do, and also what you need and what you want. Because it's important to know those things, all of those things. Like, what do you need? What do you want? What can you not do? What are you willing to do? And as I said, I want to do a new episode talking about personal boundaries because there are also different levels of personal boundaries. You can have hard boundaries, and like your boundaries can be hard, your boundaries can be soft, and they can be flexible in the middle at certain times with certain people in certain situations. It just depends. And usually people that have soft boundaries don't really have boundaries, and people that have hard boundaries are like super impenetrable. It's like you built like this fortress that you don't want anyone to cross over. And flexible in the middle, it's like you know your boundaries, but sometimes they can be flexible, certain people, certain situations, and other times it's like, please do not cross this line. This is the border. We are not going past this. This is my end right here. So it's important. So you know your limits, then you can create your boundaries. And then you also need to be assertive to enforce your boundaries and ensure you aren't being taken advantage of. And sometimes when we're taken advantage of, we know that it's happening, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't, a lot of times when we don't, it can definitely contribute to some of us who are people pleasers because we feel like we have to do whatever it is. And if you are a people pleaser and you aren't aware of being taken advantage of, if you ever have any feelings of like resentment, then tie that together with being taken advantage of, and you'll know that like a limit, a boundary has been crossed for you if you are not aware of how to figure out where those limits lie. So it's important that you know your limits, create your boundaries, and actually enforce your boundaries. And I will tell you that when you start enforcing boundaries and you haven't before, the people that were gaining the most from you not having boundaries will be the most upset. And then they will try to convince you that you don't need boundaries and that it's not good for you, i.e., it's not good for them. They're going to try every way to convince you that that's not what you need, but it is what you need because you need to protect yourself. You need to do what is best for you first and then serve others. Like totally, or else you will have nothing to give. You got to take care of yourself, I'm telling you. So we will dive deeper into that at some point soon, but start setting and enforcing personal boundaries. It'll save you a bigger headache in the future. It's hard when you first start doing it, but it becomes easier over time. And you can do it slowly build up to building like all of your boundaries, and we can talk about that more later. Okay, number 4, understand what gives and takes away your energy. So this is just like, this could be like people, activities, like mindsets. If you have like a negative mindset all the time, obviously that's going to drain away a lot of your energy because you're continuously like thinking, well, this isn't going to work out, and thinking terrible things about you and being judgmental to others and not really focusing on what can happen, what could happen, what should happen, what you can do to like influence those things to happen, positive things to happen in your life. You're just continually like laying in the negative because it's easy. It's so much easier to be negative than it is positive. Of course, like you have to actually try to be positive. You do. It's just, I know, right? And if only it would just be easier to be positive, right? It's harder to be positive. But so just kind of like consider like what gives you energy and what takes it away. So anything that like drains you or inspires you. So for me, there are certain people in my life, groups of people that I've realized really drain my energy, and not in like a way of like we just have so much fun together and I'm like tired afterwards because I'm an introvert. No, like these people are just so kind of insufferable to be around, and I can only do it in limited doses, and those People really zap my energy, so I try to limit the interaction as much as possible. But then there are certain groups of people that really just give me energy and make me excited for life and, have me question, like, why am I not spending more time with these people? They really do, like, just feed life into me, right? And then there's certain people that I like talk to and I'm immediately inspired to do better and push myself and to do more and to really rethink the way that I'm doing things, to do it in a better way. And then there's things that drain me. There's even activities that drain me that I realize I need to cut out of my life, even if it's just for a season, and then come back to it and see if it changes. And if no feelings have changed, then I will just move on. But if maybe I can try it again and do it in a different way that doesn't quite take everything out of me, right? So really just kind of understand what like gives and takes your energy away, because then you can really lean into what gives you energy and be aware of what takes your energy. Because like I said, if you have to, still be involved, as we all are, in things that just like suck and drain energy from us, you can do it in as much of like a limited fashion as possible. Also come up with like coping mechanisms for you to not get thoroughly sucked in and to stay as positive as you can while in those like not necessarily positive experiences. And also maybe just make changes in your life so you're not necessarily having to deal with those things as regularly as you are now. So understand what gives and takes away your energy, because that'll definitely help you heal emotionally and become your best self. Okay, number 5 and the last one is to honor your feelings. We talk about that like every other episode, right? If you're not new here, honoring your feelings. That's what we talk about. So you need to basically, in a nutshell, if you don't know what honoring your feelings is, give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. So if you're feeling mad, but you feel like people in your life would be like offended if you were mad and you're like, I'm not going to be mad. But that's how you feel. That is the emotion that resonates immediately. And when I say honor your feelings and give yourself permission to feel the feeling, that does not mean that a reaction needs to come, right? You need to lean into responses rather than react, because reactions are fully based on emotions and you don't really think through like what's going to happen and what the consequences could be. When you respond, you actually consider like, okay, do I need to like yell and scream because I'm feeling anger? Or do I just really think on like, well, why am I feeling angry? What is causing this? Does this happen very often? Is there a pattern that I need to see here? Well, what could I do with this anger to help it dissipate? Like you're really asking yourself these deeper questions so you have the best response. But yeah, so give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. And also note that there is no need to judge yourself for how you're feeling at all. Right? You don't need to be like, oh no, I can't feel angry right now because blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times we do this, we like judge our feelings by disassociating ourselves from our emotions because we feel shame in feeling the way that we feel. We're like, oh my gosh, I can't feel angry because Amy, or I'm sorry if your name was Amy, it's just an example, because Amy doesn't ever feel angry ever, and I want to be like Amy, so I can't feel angry. But we don't know. Maybe Amy does feel angry. She just keeps it inside, right? She just her response is just different from what yours could be. So it's important that we don't disassociate how we're feeling and judge our feelings and continue in this like cycle of shame of feeling a certain feeling just because you feel like people are judging you. You were taught that it wasn't right to feel a certain way with core beliefs and values. See how this like all jams together. But yeah, but it's better to be real and honest, which is why I am real and honest with you guys all of the time. It feels more comfortable, honestly. It just flows easier. I'm not pretending to be anything that I'm not. Absolutely not. This is who I am. If you met me in real life, you'd probably be like, oh wow, yeah. That's how she is. But yeah, it's better to be real and honest with how you're feeling and see how those feelings can help you understand yourself better, right? Understand like what you want, what you don't want, what you need, right? Those like the really thinking like, okay, I'm angry right now. Why am I angry? Is it because I'm offended by what they did, or am I feel like I'm not included in what they were talking about? Like, what do I need right now? Or what am I wanting? What is this telling me that I actually want that I haven't really been paying attention to, right? So honoring your feelings will help you understand yourself better and lead you to make the best decision for yourself, because you're really trying to understand what the heck is going on. You're like, okay, well, because I feel angry, maybe I should like not be involved in this thing. Or maybe I need to talk to someone because I continually feel angry when I encounter this thing, this situation, right? It'll help you make the best decision for yourself to really figure out like what's going on and what continues to trigger you or what continues to just like cause you to feel such overwhelming emotions. Like, here's an example. In therapy right now, I am talking a lot about like irrational anger. I will become angry for things that I know it's irrational, but what the heck is going on? And so just really trying to understand like what is happening. How can we change this? How can we make this work for me? So I better understand myself, make the best choices for myself, and move along with my life, right? It all works together. So honoring your feelings. And that is all five tips on how to do the work and heal emotionally. I hope that's been super helpful, and I appreciate you listening so much. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast, again with me, Sabrina. Thank you for listening, sharing, and downloading the show. I hope that you're able to share this show with as many people as possible that you feel would need the help or benefit from having a few tips on how to do the work and heal emotionally. Again, please check the show notes for how to get to my website, how to come say hi to me on Instagram, how to send me an email, and to download your free copy of 50 Questions to Become More Self-Aware. But until next time, have a good one, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.